Well, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. It's a beautiful day, and what a great day to be involved with Sisel. My name is Dr. Kurt Fiznick. I'm a chiropractor. I actually haven't really practiced chiropractic now in a little over a decade. I got involved with a motorcycle accident and nearly lost my right leg, and spent a couple of years in a wheelchair recovering, and had to really find another way of generating an income, and I knew I wanted to stay in the field of healthcare, and I knew I wanted to work with people. I didn't want to go into research. I didn't want to go into teaching, and so I talked to a couple friends of mine who had been involved in network marketing. And, I was thinking about it last night. I actually was writing a script for a presentation, and I thought about it, and I thought, what other field can you go into that you can start part-time with very little investment? Yeah, you can start for as little as $50 and generate an income. And I know this is a product call, but I just had to throw this out there for people who are listening, and for those that are listening to the recording of this, that why do I promote products from a network marketing company? And sometimes I think that people feel that somehow network marketing products are somewhat inferior, and I just want to kind of talk a little bit about that myth before I get into the topic of discussion today. We're going to be talking about minerals. And when I got in my motorcycle wreck, I was really on top of the world in my clinic. I had just been selected as one of America's top chiropractors, and I was seeing anywhere between 50 to 100 people per day. I was busy all the time. It seemed like I didn't have a chance to breathe. There were so many things going on, and it just was great. It was great. And then all of a sudden, I was involved in the motorcycle accident, and left with thinking, now what am I going to do? Now what, right? And I didn't want to, go get a job, anything like that. I really am kind of unemployable. I've been in control of my life. I've never had a job. I've never worked for anyone else. And so I looked at the network marketing industry, and the reason that I had kind of an open mind to it was really, it goes back. My my middle son, who's now just finished his third year of medical school, going into his fourth year, he had asthma and he had eczema when he was younger, and I tried everything. I mean, really, I tried everything. We took him to the hospital. We took him to some of the best doctors, and nobody really had an answer. Their answer to me was, maybe he'll outgrow it. Maybe he'll outgrow it. Think about that. If your son or daughter, or your parents, or your spouse, your brother, your sister, somebody that you love, had a disease that could possibly kill them, like asthma. I mean, my son turned blue. I saw him turn blue, and the answer was, maybe he'll outgrow it. And I just thought, holy cow, really, that's your answer? And, as a parent, that wasn't good enough for me. That wasn't good enough. So, I just kept exploring. I kept trying different things. And one day, this little old farmer guy from South Dakota, Don, he came in my office, and he had been in before, and he was trying to get me to sign up for this network marketing company, and he had these great products that could cure the world of everything. And I always kind of tried to ditch him. When I saw his pickup pull up into the parking lot, I would run to the back of the clinic, and I'd sit in the exam room, and I'd tell my staff, just tell him I'm busy. Tell him I'm busy. Tell him I'm gone. I'm doing something else. And Donnie, if you're listening to this recording, you know, I apologize, but you probably figured that out. Anyhow, one day I was up there talking to my staff, and I didn't notice Don pull in, and he comes into the waiting room, and he caught me. Oh, man, I'm busted, right? And he starts laying it on me, you know, as far as like, you know, you got to look at this, you got to look at this. And you know, he was one of those guys that, I mean, he knew that 3-foot rule really well. He had been taught really well, and he just started hammering me. And, you know, and I was like, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. And he said the right thing. He said, so what if I could give you a product? I'll just give it to you, he says, and you give it to somebody that you know of that has a condition that maybe they just don't have an answer. Maybe they don't have an answer. And I thought, okay, if he's willing to stick his neck out, I'm willing to bite. And I said, yeah. I said, my son has asthma. And I said, I'm not satisfied with the doctors. I'm not satisfied with the answers I'm finding. I said, what do you got? And he told me about a couple different things. And lo and behold, I put my son on those products, and in 4 months, his asthma was gone, right? Gone. And I tell you that because I tried everything else. I tried the medical. I tried the traditional medicine, and nothing seemed to have an answer. And when I found this, it just blew me away. Well, the end of that story really is this, is that, you know, somebody wrote a book about the product and made some crazy claims. I think they were true, but made some crazy claims about the product in a book. And all of a sudden, the authorities stepped in and confiscated every copy of the book and took the product off the market. They actually had to change the ingredients in the product, you know, probably because they worked too well. But bottom line is that, you know, I saw that product work on my son, and that's what got me involved with network marketing. So don't be afraid of a product that's marketed by, you know, one of your friends or by a family member, by one of your patients, by, you know, someone who really is in this for the right reason. They see something that works and they want to share it. And that's really kind of what got me involved with the network marketing industry. And as far as the myth that the products are somewhat inferior, well, I mean, I'm not going to say this is true for every company, but when you take a look at top-notch qualities like what we have with Sisel, holy cow. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I share these with people, when I share these products with people, I tell them, as far as I'm concerned, you won't find another product that has the effectiveness that we have here. You won't find another company that puts the right ingredients in, that's done the science, done the research. Someone called me last night and they said, well, you know, your product has this. And I said, you know, I said, I've come to know over the course of the last few years that if it's got that in there, it's safe. Because these are the same products that the owner, the chief biochemist, the scientist, the mad medicine man, Tom Maurer, has decided are safe for us to use, and he's using them for him and his family, his grandchildren, his children, and he wouldn't give them anything less than what's totally safe. So you really have to think about that when you talk about the products. I don't even question them anymore. I look up so that I can answer questions, but I don't question them anymore, because I've come to know that really when you look at the Sisel safe, that's exactly what it means. And so anyhow, I've gone off a little bit on a tangent about that and spent the last 10 or so minutes talking about that. And as a doctor, I'm just so proud to be part of this company and using these products and recommending these products for everybody that I know. And that's exactly how I feel. And so, you know, just you got to explain to people. It's not that the Mowers had piles and piles of these raw products, and they're like, oh man, what are we going to do? How are we going to get rid of them? And they, I know, let's put them in pills and sell them to a bunch of people through a pyramid scheme. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You see, when Tom started Sisel, he took hundreds of millions of his own dollars, and he started a manufacturing plant from scratch with a vision. And he didn't have a single product, not one single product. I'm sure he had some ideas of products that he was going to come out with, but he didn't have one single product. So when people say, oh, yeah, it's just, you know, no, that's not what happened. And so when you take a look at it, it's just unbelievable what we have here. And like I said, you all should be very proud of where you are right now. And as you go forward and share these products with people, make sure that you point out to them exactly what I said. It's if these are products that you're going to share with your friends and family, they have to be better quality, right? Otherwise, why wouldn't you just go to Walmart or one of the superstores and just buy cheap vitamins? They aren't the same. You get what you pay for. And that's true with any multivitamins. I remember I was talking to a chemist who helped put together, you know, the top-selling multivitamin on the market without mentioning any names. But he said that they started out with some really good ingredients, and then they added some cheaper ingredients, and by the time they were done, they were looking at how they could save pennies. Actually, less than pennies. They were looking at how they could save less than pennies on the production of that product so that they could make more profit. And that's the best-selling vitamin on the market. And people are taking it. Your friends, your family, they're taking that. And according to what this particular scientist told me, he said only 3% of people can actually absorb most of what's in there. And some of the stuff that's in there you don't really want to absorb, because sometimes it's not a matter of what's in there, it's a matter of what's not in there, right? That's important, because there's things that you probably don't want in your body as well. But as we move into the topic today, I really wanted to talk a little bit about minerals. And, you know, last night, Andrea and I were talking, or Katie and I were talking about vitamins and minerals. When is it important to take certain vitamins, certain minerals, things that your body needs? And, you know, should you take this? Should you take that? When should you take them? Which one should you take together? And things like that. And my answer is really pretty simple, is that when you're looking at food, right, I can eat a tomato along with a steak, right? I don't have to eat the steak in the morning and the tomato at night. I can follow it up with a piece of chocolate cake. I can drink it down with a glass of lemonade or a cup of coffee. And, you know, all in the same setting. Because my body, if it's working properly, knows exactly, and I mean exactly, when to absorb the nutrients. And so I don't have to try and separate them out, because it's food. And when you take a nutritional product that's high quality, like what we have with Sisel, it mimics food, and your body sees it as food. It sees it as nutrition, and so you're going to absorb it when you need it. And you might some people say, oh, you just have expensive urine. Well, that might be true, right? I might be getting, too much of vitamin C today. And my body says, oh, no, you don't need 500 milligrams today. We're only going to absorb, 300. Well, that's true. But if I only take 300 and I need 500, then what? Then what? Is my brain going to send a message, like a telegram, and say, hey, Kurt, we need some more vitamin C down here? And it does. Your body actually does that. But it sends it in a language that you don't understand. It's like some sort of, high-tech computer language, right? I remember when I went to college for engineering, and I was taking computer programming classes, and I had to learn different computer languages. It's not the same as the human language. It's not the same as, any language. I don't speak any foreign languages, but at least I can understand that's a language. But when you're talking computer languages, it's not the same. And the message in your body, you might get a message that says you need more vitamin C, but how do you interpret that? Chances are you might get that message and you go, oh, I'm hungry. And so you go and, if you're on the road or if you're somewhere, you go to the vending machine, you buy something quick to satisfy the message that you heard, which was that you're hungry. But really, in reality, the real message said you need vitamin C. And so I would rather have a little bit more expensive urine and make sure that I have enough than not enough. And when you take a look at most nutritional products, take a look at your favorite over-the-counter brand, your big box store brand, and go look at the mineral products. Go look at the multivitamin, multi-mineral product, and just count on there how many minerals do they actually contain. Not very many. I'm just going to say, as an easy number, less than 25. Less than 25, right? And there's what we call the macro minerals, right? Like calcium, magnesium, potassium, things like that your body needs more of. It needs more of that because it's used in a lot of different places. It's used in a lot of different reactions within your body. And it's also used for keeping the pH balanced, things like that. You build bones out of calcium. But then there's the trace minerals. And the trace minerals, when you hear the word trace, it means you don't need much. You need very, very little. And so when we talk about trace minerals, then, are you sure you're getting enough? That diet that you had yesterday, did you get enough? Are you sure? How are you sure? When the plants pick up the minerals from the soil, if the soil's depleted of the mineral, then how in the world do you expect that plant to absorb the mineral? And I live in a farming community. I live here in North Dakota. It's mostly farming community. And I watch what they put on the fields. I remember in high school I worked on a farm, and I watched what they put in the ground. And what it was is they put lots of things in there to make the plant grow fast, to make the plant grow big, to make the plant so that it was hardy, so it could withstand some of the extreme weather changes that we have up here in this part of the climate or this part of the country. And they made it so that the, for example, that the wheat would have a lot of protein in it, because that's how they determined the quality, and that's how they got paid for it. But did they think about that in order for that crop to have nutritious value, that you have to put fertilizers in, minerals in, that actually make the crop, the grain, whatever you're talking about, nutritious. And then when our animals eat that, when the cattle eat that crop, don't you think that affects them as well? Just like it affects us. If they don't get the right minerals, then how in the world do you expect the animal to be healthy? And then when you buy that meat at the store, how do you expect that meat to be healthy and full of nutrition, right? So it affects all of that. And so as we've depleted the soil and we haven't replaced the minerals back into the soil, we have to get those trace minerals from a product like Spectramaxx. And one day, Tom Sr. and I were sitting up at his cabin, and his cabin is you know, huge, as you can probably expect. And we're sitting up there talking. We're sitting on the porch one day. It was July, and my son and I were up there and visiting, and as we were driving through the area, and I asked Tom, I said, well, you know, of all the products that we have, if you could only buy one, if you only had $50 and you could buy one product, which one would it be? And now this was a couple of years ago, it was before the age pill. But at that time, he said Spectramaxx. I mean, he didn't even think about it, just Spectramaxx. And I said, really? I said, why? Because I had the feeling that Fucoidan was the best product, because inflammation is involved with every major chronic disease. So I thought, you know, Fucoidan. And he said, no. He said because we aren't getting the trace minerals from the food that we eat, and we're not getting it from the other nutrition products that we're taking. And Spectramaxx is the one that provides all of that. It has 74 trace minerals. 74. Trace, which means very little. Essential, which means that you need them. So if you don't have them, then your body can't survive. And, I mean, you might actually live a long time. I know people who don't eat right, and they get to be quite old. But most of the time, they're not healthy. And so if you want to live a long time with optimum health, then you need to have these trace minerals, these essential trace minerals. And I don't know if you've ever thought about it, but if you've ever been up in the mountains or out along the ocean, and you see a tree growing out of a rock, just growing out of the side of a rock, you think to yourself, how does that tree actually survive? Where does it get its vitamins and minerals? It's growing out of a rock, out of a crack in a rock, right? Well, it turns out that plants emit a type of acid that dissolves the minerals so that it can pull it back up into the plant through the roots. And that's how those trees can survive on the side of a hill or on the side of a rock, because fulvic acid, not folic acid, fulvic, F-U-L-V-I-C, fulvic acid is emitted from the roots of the plant, and it dissolves the minerals in the tree, the grass, whatever it happens to be, can pull that out of the ground, and it can grow. And so it turns out that this is essential for humans and other animals as well, in order for us to absorb and use these minerals. Otherwise, we could just grab, you know, a rock and grind it up into really fine dust and simply eat the rock, right? But you can't do that. But some nutrition companies, some vitamin companies, that's what they're selling you, is they're selling you ground up rocks. They're selling you minerals. They're just merely, they take the rock or the stone or the crystal and they grind it up and they put it in there. Well, yeah, it's in there. It's in there. But does it do you any good? And so that's the difference between what we see when we take our Sisel products and we take these other nutrition products that maybe are a little bit inferior. And remember, like I said, name brands, they sell on price. They're competing on the shelves with the other box store brands based on price. Because people that go to those types of places, they look at price and they go, oh, this one's cheap, this one's expensive, this one's kind of in the middle, this one has what I need, oh, I've heard of that, you know, this one now it comes in the, you know, the silver, you know, the silver package, so, or the gold, so it must be better, and oh, it has lutein in it. Yeah, but you know, I mean, if you take a look at it, when they put lutein in there, did they put enough to really make a difference on your health? Actually, you know, talking about the top selling brand, yeah, you'd have to take I think it was something like 20 capsules a day to get enough lutein out of their product to actually make a difference on your vision, right? So, you know, you can't just say, oh, it's in there, and count on that it's in there. I've had people tell me, oh, I take this brand, I take that brand. And, well, how do you know? How do you know what you're getting is what you're getting? How do you know that's all you're getting? Right? So anyhow, that's my call for today. I hope I didn't go on too long about my rant on the whole thing, as far as like you know, when people say, oh you know, that's an inferior product, because you know, they don't know, and sometimes it hurts them by not knowing, and you know, they have a reason to be skeptical. I tell people that if you're not skeptical, you're either going to be broke or dead, because people are going to take advantage of you. But you don't want to let your skepticism stand in your way of progress either. So I explain that to people. Anyhow, so it's the bottom of the hour, and I sure appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to me today and listen to the call. This is the Sisel Doctors Clinic call. My name is Dr. Kurt Fiznick, and I'm back here every Tuesday. This will be posted on Sisel Doctor Clinic, without an S, DOCTOR, clinic, SiselDoctorClinic.com. But it'll also be posted up on the Sisel World team on my team page. And, yeah, share with people. Let them know. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.